Tuesday fun day.
Just get in that groove. Oh yeah.
Me and Ashley were wondering what's. Never mind.
Man, we're here. We made it. Look, I'll mute this bad boy. Brother, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
So,
what time is it?
What time is it? And times are changing. Bob Dylan, times they are changing. And boy, like I told you, I got messed up with that time change. Messed me up. Messed me up.
So did I, and you're not the only one. I feel a few people have told me the same thing. I mean, I was trying to set meetings on that day, and we just started going, all right, 23 minutes from now. Or, I mean,
yeah,
somebody on the East Coast, somebody in Arizona, and Arizona doesn't even change their clocks. So they got like a 2-hour, now they're the same time as us. It's interesting.
It's silliness. In fact, like I was telling you, I was going live on Sunday morning. I've been doing these live on Sundays with Gordana Burnett.
Right.
Well, I lost an hour. I stayed up a little later than I would want to on Saturday night. So then I lose an hour. I'm prepared, ready to go at what was the new 8 a.m. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought the whole world changed over. So I'm ready to go. She just doesn't show up. And she promoted 8 a.m. Pacific time with all the other all the time zones. She put them all there. But then on Facebook, it said 9 a.m. on the event. So then I was like, this is very confusing. So I wait till 9. She pops on. It was still the same time she's gone live every single week. But for me, it's a different hour. I'm late. I'm all over the place. I thought, what a joke. Time is such an illusion that someone can make a declaration that time shall be changed. And then
but only in certain places.
Exactly. Only in certain places, but our bodies are still in that same circadian rhythm and all that rhythmic living, and it just gets disrupted. And it's taken a few days to get the funk off. And today I feel good, thankfully. But yeah, yesterday I was like, oh, man.
So weird. I was thinking about that. And we were putting Tyler to bed. And because we know like there's an agenda behind all this stuff that we're starting to uncover, right? It's just like everything else. And it seems like there's something trying to keep us in a constant state of confusion.
Yes.
This seems to be, and I never thought about it before with the time change. But now that we're seeing things, we're like, okay, because we're questioning everything, right? Yes. So let's just ask a question. It's like, is this meant to keep us in a state of confusion? If so, how, why, whatever. Right. So we're putting Tyler to bed. And Ashley asked me, hey, can you close the curtains? Because it's still bright out. And then she goes, I remember being a kid and we would do this time change thing. And I used to hate it that I would have to go to bed while the sun was still out.
Oh, yeah.
And it hit me. And I'm like, interesting. Is this a way of, like, for one, keeping everybody in a constant state of confusion? And like, we now have to reset. We get into a flow. Now we got to reset, figure it back out. Like, it won't let us get into a rhythm. But is this a way to start getting children, having children's circadian rhythm be affected? Because as a child, I didn't even think of that, is they're going to bed when the sun is still up.
Yeah.
Imagine being a child and wanting to still play, or there's sunbeaming in your window and it's bedtime.
Right.
Like, because as adults, between work and this and that and the time, and your circadian rhythm is way off. So is it possible that this kind of started that trend at such a young age, or part of it, right?
Maybe. I mean, it makes sense that they would know the benefits of all the residuals. I mean, every time there's a commercial for a new drug, what do they hit you with? Out of a 30-second spot, they hit you with 20 seconds of the side effects. I mean, they know the side effects, or they know the results of anything that they're doing. Right. And when I was my very first TV reporter job, I was the morning reporter for the NBC affiliate in the small market. So I'd have to get up at 2:30 in the morning, be at the station at 3:30, go live by 5 a.m., work till 2, have a few hours off, try to get to bed by 5:30 or 6 o'clock. And I lived in the desert area. So it was not only was it sunny, it was hot and I was just a mess. And I had double sheets on windows and tried to block out everything. And it was a mess. And I was not I don't know how these amazing people do graveyard shifts for 10, 20, 30 years. I mean, God bless them, because I did that for a year and a half and I never felt quite right until I got back on a normal schedule.
Yeah. So I actually looked up and I Googled, like, why do we change our clocks back? Let's just see what Google says. Daylight savings time was instituted in the U.S. during World War I in order to save energy for war production by taking advantage of the later hours of daylight between April and October. So you want to take advantage of production for war, and all of us have to suffer in confusion because of that? And I don't even know if that's right. That's just the first thing that came up on Google search. I'm sure there's plenty of other explanations. I know, in fact, there are plenty of other explanations. But how does it serve humanity? Does it, or does it suppress humanity? And if, like, why don't we ask that question now that the World War I is over, allegedly? Why don't we go, hey, let's check back in. Why are we changing the clocks? Does it serve humanity, or is it suppressing humanity? If we ask that question, then do we make a change? Do we keep it? Do we lean in farther? But, like, let's just regroup. Why are we staying still?
It's so interesting you bring this up, because this is the exact reason why you do not give up your liberties and you do not give up your freedoms. You're never going to get back what you give up, ever. You have to then take it back. And that's where we're finding ourselves right now as humanity, is we're taking back our sovereignty, our authority. We're claiming that which is rightfully ours from a system that could care less, because they're benefiting. Why would they ever give back that which we've given up? They keep benefiting. So are they they being those in power, those that monetize our abdication of, okay, we'll allow our time to change, as opposed to saying, get the fuck out of here. Like, what the fuck? We need a little bit more fuck you in our lives and a little bit less, okay, we'll get along to go along. Like,
well, everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, exactly right.
But that's the thing.
And I know that sounds harsh, but what else is there? We keep just going along until we wake up and we're like, what the heck is happening?
And that's the thing. It's easier to nip it in the bud, but we've spent our whole lives just giving it away. And here, look, a lot of people get shook on the they and the control thing. But that's a macro scale. Let's bring it down to a micro level and think about your job. What are you giving up for what you're getting in return? Yeah. How hard is it to ask for a 2% raise?
Yeah.
Right? So once you give who you are, you give that energy. Do you think the CEO of the company who's staring at the bottom line is going to go, man, they've been giving their heart and soul to this job. Let's give them more money.
Right.
No. Now, because they got used to what you were giving them, the only way to get more money or get more value out of what you're providing is to fight for it now.
Yeah.
But if you go in the first place saying, this is who I am, this is what I bring to the table, and this is what I need in return, then that's where you set your bar. That's where you start. But if you go in desperately going, I need a job to feed my family because I don't know how to plant food, then you are going in at a deficit, and they will take advantage of you, because a business is a business. And if you let it, it will. Now it's 3 years in and you're like busting your ass. You're exhausted. You're drained. Is it really worth it for the peanuts you're getting back? Yeah. But now you've got to fight for more peanuts. And that is painful and exhausting. And it's scary because you don't want to. What if you piss off your boss and they go, you know what? You're fired. Now you get no peanuts.
Right.
Now you got to fight for a new job, which is probably the best thing ever if you change your perspective going into the firing and go, okay, maybe this is a gift to change my life. However, most people aren't doing that. They're going back to desperation, going, I need to feed my family. I need to get any job that'll give me some kind of money.
Right.
So it's the same thing. Once you give it away, it's really hard to fight back for it. So just from this moment on, stop giving it away. And then little by little fight back for the things that you need to get back. But when you stand strong in your sovereign now, you will have the power coming through. You will have the energy to fight back for what's right.
Yeah.
And at some point you just stop fighting. Like you don't even need to fight anymore. You just say, no, you backdate it and go, no, I don't do that anymore. This is who I am.
Right.
And guess what? What time is it? It's now.
It's always now. It's
now.
Always now.
Here's about changing the clocks. It's now. What do you want to do? What do you want to do right now? It's now. Oh, but we changed the clock. Doesn't matter. It's now.
And in addition to what do you want to do, is who do you want to be right now? Yeah. You want to be free? Then you are free. And you're saying fight back, or they're going to give, but actually we are nothing. No one can take anything from us that which we do not allow. Nothing. And this is, I think, what we're learning. And it's this big dance where perception versus reality. Like I perceive that I must do something versus who physically applied force to me or upon me to do something.
Right.
And then if I'm afraid of that force and I give before force is applied, then the only person responsible is me. Meaning, like, we're doing all these different things right now, wearing masks. But people just, if everyone said no, then
the pandemic would be over.
It would go away. If everyone just said no. Oh yeah, you have to. You can get all your law enforcement and you are still a drop in the bucket against the population of every city, of every county, of every state of this country, of this world. You can get all your law enforcement. You are a drop in the bucket to humanity if we said no. But that's not what we think. We think they have the power because that's the illusion. That's the spell. So we go along to get along as opposed to waking everyone up and saying, brothers and sisters, no one has forced you to do a thing. So no one is to blame for your unhappiness. You are responsible for your own life. And even if you get arrested, so what? Martin Luther King Jr. was arrested. Do we think that he is a bad person? No, he's a virtuous person. Jesus, they tried to arrest him multiple times. Was he a bad person? No, he's a virtuous person. So then what actually can they do to mar our sovereign knowingness?
But also remember, these police officers, just because they have a uniform on, doesn't mean they're not also human. We are the same. You think they want to be enforcing this stuff? You know? So perception becomes reality.
Yeah.
Right? You're saying perception versus reality, but also remember that perception becomes reality, which is why they are feeding you perception on that TV screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whatever you believe will manifest into the physical world in front of you. That's what we're seeing. They told you that your life is in danger if you go outside and breathe oxygen.
Right.
That's what they told us. And life is a choice.
Yep.
So is the opposite of life.
Yep.
It's all a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get to choose. And again, this is not week 3, guys. We are living proof. I go outside every day. And by the way, I'm not advocating to do, but just to think for yourself a little bit.
Exactly. You
want to become aware and start to go, that is interesting. These guys have been walking around, hugging strangers and neighbors, playing in the dirt, doing construction, doing whatever we're doing out there in the world. And they're still, we're getting healthier and healthier every day because we're inviting our soul back into our body. We're inviting the light in.
Yeah.
Because we have an opportunity to do that right now. This is the time to shift your perspective. Because it's a gift. Or it depends how you look at it, right? It's a gift or a curse.
Yeah.
And you have to make a decision. How do you want to look at this situation? Because it can be both.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. You know, we talked about day and evening and morning were the first day, evening, starting at dark, and the whole. And I was reading a Jewish one of the Jewish accounts I follow, they say they want day to start in the evening because we always go from dark to light, dark to light, dark to light, dark to light. And remember that no matter what we go through, it always goes dark to light. It's always dark to light. And so there's so much wisdom and all this stuff. And then even balance in the night, we start with balance and then we go into morning reflection upon the day. There's so much stuff. And then when the same group, by the way, the same Roman group that flipped it, the same Babylonian teaching goes back before Rome, but it's the same doctrinal lineage, flipped it. And then they were the ones that stayed in power. It's just that where there's, and it's
it's inverted truth, just like every single thing you're witnessing in the world. Yes. It's all been inverted truth, but the truth nonetheless, which is why people are buying it.
Right.
Because there's a bit of truth in there. When they say you put a mask on to respect others, like that's a hard spell to break.
Yeah.
To stand there in a position of non-guilt, non-shame, to go, that's not true.
Yeah. Man, when I hear this stuff, now I'm like
breathe.
Humanity is evolving, and in the remembering, we're not even evolving into something we're not. We're evolving back into who we are. That's really the truth. It's the revolution. It's the great awakening, is remembering. It's coming back to our sovereignty. And when I hear that type of narrative from someone, and I've been told this by some people, I just look at these people like a stand back. Like, just, I want to tell them, just, what are you doing? Why are you, if you believe that, first of all, start a podcast and preach it every day. But because you don't do a podcast every day, shut the hell up. If you really believe that, post it every single freaking day on your social media feeds. But because you don't, shut the hell up. Right. I'm speaking my truth. You have every right to speak your truth, and let the ideas in the public forum be that which they are, and let people perceive it. Yeah.
Duty.
In a little bit.
And remember, the perception becomes reality. So if you do choose that that's what you want to believe, and then you post it on your account and then you do a podcast on it, you better be prepared that that perception is going to become your reality. So if you run around saying that you need to do this, you need to wear the mask, you need to double up on the mask, it's dangerous outside to breathe the air, this is dangerous, that's dangerous, you will be right. Right? You will start to see what you're seeking. You seek and you shall find. But what we've learned from a visceral experience, we get out there, put our feet in the grass, take in the sun, breathe the air, talk to your neighbors, and live your life trusting that the universe has your back, understanding how energy works. Then that will become your new reality. And it's so much better because you're not swimming upstream anymore, unless you decide to fight back against tyranny and do all that, because that's painful too. But theoretically, we could shut this down and go live in complete joy off the land, growing our own food, community, family with like-minded people. But that's not why we're here. We're here to help humanity across this bridge. This is unprecedented times where we've never experienced anything like this. So if we've been through certain traumas pre-2020, then it feels like our duty to at least share with people who are asking questions and to ask more questions ourselves. And Lucas said something about changing the times it started in Boston, which when he comes back, I want to remember to talk about that. Oh, here he comes. So Luke, yeah, I know you're on the schedule with the kids.
We're dadding it up hardcore. Yeah, Boston. So Boston was the very first city in the United. Is that okay to jump in? I just heard you say that.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going anyway.
Boston was the very first city in the United States that implemented daylight savings time because they wanted an hour longer to trade on the London Stock Exchange. And then when Boston did it, New York followed. And then from New York, the entire country followed except a few places. It was all about money. And then you saying daylight savings time in World War I production, it was still all about money. World War I wasn't our fight in the United States. Like, this whole concept is so crazy. It's about making money, not for us, not for our families, not for the Scotty lineage, not for the Mac lineage, for, you can look at the names. Everyone can do that.
And who pays for that production?
Exactly.
The families, the lineage, the taxes, the illegal taxes.
That's right. That's right, man. It's just a fascinating time. The other thing that talking about time changing is there's no coincidence that the Mayans had their own calendar, the Chinese have their own calendar, the Jews have their own calendar, the Romans have their own calendar. Then it was who was going to rule the world with what timeline they were going to implement on this earth. And the Mayan calendar ended in 2012, which coincidentally, or not coincidentally, corresponded with Project Looking Glass. And everyone just enjoy that rabbit hole, just go down and have some fun on that. But Project Looking Glass stopped showing multiple timelines. It only showed one timeline. So all the different variant timelines collapsed into one. So what the Mayans predicted as the end of the world was actually the end of the age. There were no more options. It collapsed to one timeline, which leads us to what, we're 9 years past 2012, and we're experiencing the world like radically different than what was perceived. And real quick, as Jesus said, no man knows the day nor the hour. He also said the Son of Man comes like a thief in the night. But he says no man knows the day nor the hour, but he doesn't say no man doesn't know the year. But we don't know the year because they keep screwing up the years. If we knew the years of where we were, if we knew, oh, we're entering the age of Aquarius, all these things were going to happen in the age of Aquarius, and the group that was the Orion group wanted to keep us from the Aquarius group and the harmony and the, if we were aware of that, then we'd be like, right. Oh, I see what you're doing. No.
Or if we were aware of the actual shift that was coming, the polar shifts and all that kind of stuff, we could have prepared together as a community. However, yes, people know it's coming and they weaponize it against us.
Exactly right.
But listen to this. Think about this. There's a UTC time, right? It's the global. Why don't we just use that? So we're at anywhere in the world. Why are languages so different? Like, why can't we communicate with other cultures? Isn't there, and it's a beautiful thing. However, it's been weaponized against us.
There's a really cool video. Speaking of communicating, Oprah had this woman on. I saw it on the first Oprah show when our oldest was just a baby. And the first 5 months of life, every baby makes I think 5 months, 3 months, 5 months, but every child on the planet, doesn't matter what home you're born in, what language is spoken natively, babies speak the same 5 sounds, and each sound means something specific. I saw it on the first Oprah show when I can hear you playing that. Are you?
Yeah, sorry, I'm deleting it. Sorry, I was trying to comment. What's up, Rob? I was trying to comment back to Rob.
But that is also something fascinating. We all spoke a universal language early on. I'm reading the autobiography of a yogi, which Rob, shout out to Rob, recommended that I read. And he talks about before he learned the phonics or the language of his home, he remembered knowing all the universal languages. Like, it's a fascinating concept, but for sure, babies speak the same 5 words all around the world. That's fascinating.
Because it's an audible sound, right?
Yes, yes.
And I mean, we've talked
Be
about
right
that.
back. Sorry.
What's that? Did you just do the same thing? So if we think about this, if sound resonates in our body, right? We could feel. That's why we could feel music. It makes us dance. It makes our body move. Um, and if that was the original sound that we connected with, how do we create a word out of that sound? That's when we cast spelling into it. And that's where you get the word spell. And they're casting a spell, right? Because you think about music. And back in the day, what was music like in the tribes? It was drums, it was the beat of the drums, it was sounds, it was instruments. And if they used their voice, it was chanting. It was right? So what happened to music as it evolved is lyrics became a spell that was peppered on top of the sound. Because how do you create a sound? You cast spelling into that sound. So if you're at a concert, and I use this example, Mick Jagger and Rolling Stones, you could be in a concert, you're at Madison Square Garden, you feel the energy, they're rocking out, and you feel the vibrations with the entire crowd. You feel the music in your body. You feel the music. But what's happening subconsciously is the lyrics are the spell peppered on top of the sound. Now you spend a week walking around with a mantra in your head saying, I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no satisfaction. And it's a rule. It doesn't go away. Perception becomes reality. So even if it's a subconscious understanding, like I'm not saying the Rolling Stones are great. I've been to those concerts. It's amazing. But I pull back now and I see that and I start to understand how sound resonates in our body.
Yeah.
And what is seeping in. Now, Rolling Stones is that's a very mild example at this point. I mean, think about the Grammys they were just on and they're whapping all over stage. What are these children absorbing subconsciously?
Right.
So is that a conspiracy theory? I mean, guys, we can label all we want. It's only hurting us.
Yep, that's right.
You label and say, oh, no, you're talking crazy now. I don't care. You're in pain, not me.
Exactly.
I went through that pain.
Yep. Right.
Wild, though. Think about that. Tribal music, sounds, audible, feel in the body. And then now with lyrics, that's why the music industry might even be darker than Hollywood. Like, I don't even know. It's pretty ugly over there.
Yeah. I mean, every movie has to have a good soundtrack for it to be impactful.
Well, you look at a scene, the music is manipulative. If they want you to cry, there's going to be an undertone of sound and music underneath to make that scene come to life and touch you emotionally.
Incredible, incredible, incredible. It's just the awareness of what we're talking about, just for people to go do research. And where to do research is not on Google. I would recommend everyone search DuckDuckGo. Use DuckDuckGo as a search engine and to have fun, and don't be afraid of what you find. It's like, I was talking to Rob on Saturday, and then, Aaron, like, I wanted to know, like, what is all this flat earth stuff? Like, why are people talking? So I started researching. I'm not a flat earther, but I'm not afraid to research flat earth content, so I'm aware of what people believe. Right. I am not a Satanist, but I read the Satanic Bible and a lot of occult literature. So I want to know what they think and say. Have fun in the research. Don't get stuck on who's it from, what's it, what's the intent of it, because
right or wrong doesn't matter.
Exactly right. Research, study. There's a verse, 2 Timothy 2:15 in the King James Bible. It says, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. It doesn't say study the Bible. It just says study to show thyself approved, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And I've always taken that as, how can you rightly divide the word of truth unless you have done the research to study for yourself? That which makes us free is true. That which keeps us in bondage is not true. So it is up to us, not for someone else to spoon feed it, not for a pastor, an imam, a priest, a scientist, a president, whoever. it is not their
An expert.
responsibility. An expert
Experts made us lazy
intentionally.
Yes.
So
you use your curiosity to understand the world around you.
That's right.
Children put things in their mouth because they're sampling their environment.
Yes.
That's their biology. That's their physical body is sampling the environment. And then it touches the saliva, goes through the tonsils, communicates with the gut, and tells the body what to prepare for in the surroundings. We can do that with our mind as well.
That's right.
Don't be afraid. It's fun, but you don't have to land on closure. You just have to understand that there might be some missing information. I've done the flat earth rabbit holes too. There's a lot of good arguments for it. Yeah. Does it matter to me right now whether it's round or flat?
Exactly.
At this point, there's so much going on. I don't care.
Yeah.
I do know that there is significance one way or the other. So sure, because if we're just a random spinning ball, fine. But the flat earth, we would be the center of the universe and we're more significant and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
However, guys, baby steps. You don't even need to get into that.
I don't know.
I wouldn't claim to know unless I built my own rocket ship and I went up there and looked back at the Earth. Yeah. You're not going to get closure, and that's okay.
Right.
However, you will expand your consciousness, which is the point of everything. Yes. Once you expand your consciousness, your vibration rises, you get more powerful, and nobody can control you anymore.
That's right. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of the Awakened Soul. That's the whole point of the course that we teach. It's the whole point of the free gifts that we have. The whole point of why you and I are here creating this platform is to help people reclaim their sovereign power to choose and to no longer be afraid to seek information, because all information is neutral. It's how we come at the information, what we make of the information.
Right.
You said this, the beats are the beats. What lyrics are applied to those beats? You could put God is love. God is love.
Right.
And you could be saying, oh, God is love the whole time, but that's not what they apply to those beats. So it's not.
That's too powerful.
Exactly right. You are free. I'm like, I am free. You know what I mean? Like they get
that music's coming. Things are changing, guys.
True.
I mean,
true.
If you want to know what's coming, just look at what they're canceling. I mean, I'm not religious. I grew up Catholic, which is why I was introduced to God in a way that didn't make sense. So I lost my way a little bit. I understand God's source, infinite intelligence, a different way now. Mm-hmm. And it has nothing to do with religion. But you see that Netflix is now going to pull all the Christian movies off. Why? Why are they doing that? See, I never ran to look and watch Christian movies on Netflix. But now you got my antenna up. Why are you deleting that? Right. So it's just an interesting question. Doesn't mean go watch them all. It doesn't matter. And it's funny, you talk about the course and bringing everybody back to remembering who they are and being sovereign. Mm-hmm. Because once you get there, everything else starts to fall into place. Yeah. We don't want you to be our client for 20 years like licensed therapists.
Right.
Stirring the vegetables around the plate. Clear the plate.
Right.
Stand in your sovereignty and move on, and then go forth and share with the world.
That's right.
Because we're just one part of the ripple in these big waves.
That's right.
And it's funny, when you were away, I was saying, like, once you get to this place, you're powerful. Like, you and I don't have to be doing this because we could easily just go kind of live with our families in sovereignty and community, enjoy life, grow our food, live in love and light all day long.
Right.
We do this because we went through our trauma early, and we feel a duty, a responsibility to share this with people who want to know. And no longer are we shoving it down the throats of people who just don't want to. Because again, life is a choice. And who am I to step in front of their free will to choose their limiting beliefs or their low vibration?
Yeah.
The universe is going to fix all that.
Yeah.
I don't have to do it. What we are here to do is to build what we're building and offer it to the people who are ready, to step back into the light, who are ready to call their soul back into their body, so you can be strong and powerful and raise a family without shame and guilt to go. I mean, I was next to someone at the park, and they did the thing where I'm pushing Tyler on the swing, and she was on the swing next to me, and we're just talking, having a great conversation. They're wearing, and she put the mask back on her daughter and said, "We wear this for others. We want to be polite." And I was like, "Is it a dig at me?" And I went, "No, don't. We don't do that anymore. Let that go. That's her choice." The little girl came in as a soul, knowing what family and why, and she's going to help that family emerge through this. It's not my place. So I continued pushing Tyler. I continued having a nice conversation. I let that one go right over. And I have a good relationship with that person in my neighborhood now. Yeah. Instead of going, oh, I'm the problem, you're the problem. It doesn't, guys, I've tried it. It doesn't work.
Bringing that Philly. Oh man, it's it's amazing. It's amazing. And living this way, the power, I've never felt more powerful in my life than I have since 2020, since facing my fear of death and looking it straight in the eye and kicking it in its teeth and saying, I'm going to live. I'm going to live not only just kind of, I'm going to live so large and so powerfully and so expansive, and I'm going to open my throat and speak more clearly. And now I am way more powerful than I was when people came at me originally. And you want to come at, I will increase my power even more and more and more. And this is incredible. And the invitation is for everyone to come out and play with us. And the book of Revelation, it says to come out of the great whore of Babylon. And that's referring to
the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, well, no accident of why the Statue of Liberty is on that geometric pattern and facing the way it's facing and all those
called
things.
The Whore of Babylon.
Well, the great whore, whore, Babylon and the whore, and they mix and all this stuff. And it's based, anyway, not to go into it, but to come out of her.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
To come out of all of her, all the allurement of Babylon and the mixing and the false sense of safety and security. Because let's think of Star Trek, and I'm not a Trekkie, nor do I know it that well, but I did watch enough Second Generation or whatever it was called, Next Generation, to know what the Borg was. And are the Borg safe? Yeah, in that cube, they're safe. But they're not even a human. They're not even a being anymore. They're now part of the Borg. Come out of all that. You don't have to fit in. You don't have to look like anyone else. You can be uniquely you. What happened to the Gen Xers when we were kids in the 80s? And they were like, well, yeah, man, like live your own life. Like the rebellious, gritty, punk rock, underground, live the way I want to live. Like that has been hijacked by this fake individualism, but we're finding again to come back out and play.
I think again, that's a lot of that's perception too. The perception that they're putting out there. They want us to believe that. I think a hummingbird just flew by. I think that there are more kids out there that are stronger than we think and are like, I'm not playing this game.
Yeah.
But if they put it out there, they're getting canceled. You know what I mean? So they're scrambling right now to hide all this truth that's coming out. The light is coming in strong, and it ain't going away. We're just watching it unfold. So instead of getting all up in the pain of it, just start doing the inner work now. Like, let's just start focusing on that way, where we're heading, not where we've been. That's just an understanding of and lessons learned and all that kind of stuff. But looking that way, let's just start focusing on where we're going, because that's when you start to feel better. And that's when you start to realize that it's okay to have your own thoughts. It's okay to trust your intuition.
That's right.
It's never going to steer you wrong. That's right. But you have to connect. You have to get that mind-heart resonance back, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to think that this is your intuition, and it's not.
Right.
It doesn't happen overnight, guys. It doesn't,
It's going to be
hang in there.
It's exciting.
What up, Carlos? Sky Valley in the house. We're going to have Carlos on as a guest. Carlos is going to be a fascinating guest. Yeah. He's still doing his thing. He's an agent in Hollywood, but he sees things differently. And he just did a session with Jimmy Bluff after we had Jimmy Bluff on. So I'm interested to really hear his experience with Jimmy.
That's awesome. Well, brother, this is a good live. This is just, it's fun. It's fun to talk about these ideas. And, Rob, Carlos, everyone watching, we're not telling you to be or believe anything. It's just be you.
Be you. That's it.
Be you. Be free. Be you. And be in integrity to your calling and your sovereign soul. And when we do that, everything falls into alignment. Everything becomes aligned. And it's no longer a struggle. There's no longer a frustration or a friction. It's just, it's peace.
It just feels so good.
Yes.
And guys, don't ever think that you're alone. Don't be afraid to ask these questions because you feel alone, because that's not the case anymore. Even though you're not seeing it because of all the cancel culture, you are surrounded by more understanding than you realize now. Yes. There's more light. There's more love. There's more people asking questions than ever, ever, ever before.
Yeah.
So you do not have to be afraid to ask these questions. And again, you can communicate in our group. That's why we built it. Send us a message if you want to work with us privately. Yeah. But ask the questions. Yeah. It's okay.
That's right. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we will check you tomorrow.